Greetings, traveler.
Hey everyone, we have a new patch. It's probably going to be the last one of the season, so let's dive right in. We have a removed card. We're not going to be seeing Dreaming Thornweaver again, but that's going to be in a larger scale, I suppose, motion to improve Quilboar. So let's continue with that. We see that Sanguine Refiner is coming back, and it's going to be a +1/+2 instead of a +1/+1. Ingenious Inventor gets a nerf going from tier 5 to tier 6. I think that's definitely justified. This comp feels very strong, very fast. Like very early in the game, if you have played some magnetics and you get this guy with Reborn, and then you either have like a Titus or a Macaw, it's so much damage. It's so hard to outstat early in the game. So yeah, this mechs were very strong, and this was basically the reason why. Like before this was in the game, mechs were just like so-and-so, basically just like beat Boxer one trick. But now that Ingenious Inventor is in, you really have an end game to play for. Like spamming magnetics has a really good payoff. So this is probably deserved. Shimmermoth is going to be +2/+2 instead of +1. Yeah, that's a little weird. We saw a little bit when Shimmermoth came back that people were playing Rylak with the Foulhorn and then Shimmermoth, but recently it has not been very popular. Now it is super vulnerable to cleave. I played a few times myself, got it cleaved a few times myself, and it's like, well, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. So yeah, maybe with some more health on the beetles, it's quite a bit stronger, quite a bit more durable. Then we have Foodie going from 4 to 3. That's quite a nice buff. Really trying to give Quilboar a lot of love this patch, making them stronger, and yeah, this is part of it. I mean, that's just nice. On top of it being easier to get earlier, there's also more 3-drops in the pool than there are 4-drops. So if you're playing Quilboar, you're just going to see more Foodies appear in the shop than before, which is good. Vine Speaker gets a giant buff, goes from tier 6 to tier 5, and it's double the attack now. So yeah, they're making a big push here, right? Like, people, play Quilboar, play Quilboar, play Quilboar! It's yeah, lots and lots of buffs. So yeah, I mean, if you have some reborn death rattles, it's quite good. Now, one particular thing here is that the Vine Speaker does not say trigger. It says after friendly death rattle minion dies. So there's no shenanigans with Macaw or Titus to really ramp this up. But if you have reborn death rattles, they're actually quite good. And it automatically has synergy with Bach, because when you have reborn death rattles, that's likely some token shenanigans, or at the very least you're getting 2 bodies for your Bach Avenge, so it's quite good there. I will say, as a larger picture, if we zoom out a little bit, Quills were played more before anomalies, especially this Vine Speaker plus Bach thing, because it's fast, it's lower cap, right? You have Vine Speaker, you have some death rattles reborn, you have your Bach. Like, you're gonna deal a lot of damage to boards pretty quickly. You scale during the combat, so it's like a pretty cheap comp, right? But during anomaly meta, you have a lot more money, a lot more resources. Think of stuff like Doubleheader, think of stuff like Grapnel of the Titans. You are getting free resources. So that will naturally steer you towards higher cap comps, meaning that comps that are more powerful but also require more resources to set up. So these types of combos, I'm afraid that just giving them this boost is not necessarily enough. Now, to be fair, this is a giant buff, right? So who knows? Maybe it's enough. The problem is that you have to contrast it to, well, what's best? Best is probably back-to-back, which a lot of you guys have made known that you don't like. You don't like that it's so strong. And I agree. I think it would be nice for these last, couple weeks, however long it is until the new season, that we have basically no back-to-back in the meta, because with the amount of resources we're getting in anomalies, it's just easier to set up. Like, if you have a lot of gold, then you're probably going to go for back-to-back. So that's my main concern here, that it's a bit of a mismatch of these lower cap, almost like more tempo comps in a very high resource meta. You're probably still going to want to go for the pinnacle, the top end comp, which is back-to-back a lot of the time. Well, Prophet of the Boar is now a 3-4 instead of a 2-3. So is that like a massive buff to Quill? It's not really, but it means that it's more often correct to take Prophet of the Quill on tier 2, which means you are more likely going to be Quilboar later. So this happens a lot where if a type is underplayed, they are going to get some supporting pieces, make them better on their own. Because you can make a real argument that just buying a 3-4 together with a Quill, you're basically buying a 4-5. That's okay on tier 2, right? You can make that case. And then it's also more likely that you might get something like the hot air later on, and then you use that with your Prophet that you already picked up, and now you're doing double gems, and now you take a Quilboar trinket, and you know, all of a sudden they tricked you. Now you're Quilboar. But that's their style. That's what they do quite often, and I don't mind that, right? So just buffing those supporting pieces. Glowing Cinder is the other comp that they feel is not very good, and I mean, I think they're very right. The elementals, but not the arcane absorption type, it's the mana surge type. So those are the two types of elementals we're playing. One is shop buffing, one is board buffing. The shop buffing one does a lot better, especially because you can combo it with Belinda, and then the arcane absorptions go really crazy. You can use Rylak to farm a lot of them. Now, the Mana Surge one does get a huge buff here. So this is twice the health if you get this early. It's probably still not good enough, but I have seen this being used with the other Death Rattle one, the 3-drop, that essentially has the engine effect, right? It gives +3/+3 to a random minion in the shop. So in combination with that, this is quite good because you can get them both pretty early. So if you get a Cinder, you triple into a Cinder early, and you have that, God, I forgot its name. I think it's a 6-1 with the engine effect as a Death Rattle. If you have that in your shop, that's a pretty good start. So now you're getting a big buff, and then maybe you can pick up like an Enforcer on tier 4, eat the big minion in the shop, and all of a sudden your game looks pretty good. Sand Swirler is the counterpart here of the Cinder. It doesn't go from 1 attack to 2 attack, but it's a 3-drop now instead of a 4-drop. But they're basically just trading places because this is becoming more powerful. Wrathweaver is going to be +2/+2, but it's a 1/3. That's fine, right? Or compensating a little bit for the stat boost. So after you play your first demon, it's still the same size. It's a 3/5, but the future buffs are a lot better. So I think that's fair. I don't think anyone's complaining that Wrathweaver's too good. And then we have some trinket adjustments. The tiger carvings have been removed. Vine Speaker gets removed, which is interesting. I guess Vine Speaker's now a 5, but Vine Speaker's also twice as strong, so maybe it's a little bit too good. And then Keychain is out. Tiger carvings, I think, are purely a visual thing where the animations take too long, and they're just like, we don't know how to fix it, so we're just going to remove them, which I think is perfectly fine, by the way. I thought it was really funny that it was still in. I thought they would have disabled it earlier, but now in this patch they are going to disable it. Essentially what's happening is when you have Fellhorn and then multipliers, so we're talking Rylak, Bran, Titus, every time the Fellhorn procs and damages your board, the tiger carving procs, and it's just like, and you're sitting there sometimes for minutes. It's ridiculous. If you have like Golden Bran, Golden Fellhorn, Golden Titus, maybe like a Bluebird as well to interact with this, maybe a Lasher to interact with this, my god, like you do not see your shop. It is a crazy amount of animations, so that's fair. Keychain doesn't really get played, and like we said, Vine Speaker got buffed, so maybe it's a bit too awkward just removing the trinket preemptively. Then these trinkets are going to get nerfed. They cost 1 more. Typewriter costing 1 more I think is very fair. I take this thing all the time. It's really good. Sous Chef in the right condition is completely broken. There's some really cool stuff. You know, like ETC with this thing. I mean, there's other moments where this is just amazing. So fair. Cursed Crystal, I have never taken this. So after the Tavern is refreshed, give the minions 3/3 this turn. Yeah, maybe 3/3 like Malcazar's. Maybe get a little bit too big early on. It's possible, right? If you already have Malcazar. And then Eternal Portrait. Yeah, I mean, if you already have an Eternal Knight on your board and you farmed a little bit, this is actually a really big tempo spike. All of a sudden you have 2 knights. They both have Reborn, they both have Taunt. That's really strong. Funny enough, if you have an Eternal Knight pair, I like this less because now you only have 1 knight on the board. and you scale more if you have 2 knights, simply because the golden version says you gain this much, so twice as much for every knight that has died, but the golden version is 1 knight that is dying, whereas you are buffing future knights less than if 2 knights are dying. That's kind of a little bit of a weird contradiction there. So I actually like this more if I only have 1 knight on my board. I can have 2 reborn ones. Now you can also have a knight in your shop, and then the problem is solved, of course, but there's just a little bit of a, you know, personal takeaway. Then these trinkets are all getting buffed. They're costing 1 gold less. Minion bait, I basically never take. Yeah, glowing gauntlet, the animations are so bad. It can be a bit of a tempo spike early, which is fine, but later on, if you're, say, playing APM demons, this really slows down your game because it has to refresh everything, and it just takes a long time, which is kind of a sad thing that is a consideration that we have to say, well, this trinket is not as good because the game just cannot handle refreshing your shop fast enough. Rendell sticker is honestly not great. So the way how I think about Rendell sticker is I consider it if my shop has a really good minion I can steal, especially if I can combo it with leveling. And now that Rendell sticker goes from 1 gold to 0, we can talk about it, right? So that's fair. Yeah, the rest is kind of whatever. Automaton Portrait doesn't really feel that good this time around. Jewelry box has got nerf, and now they're making it a little cheaper because it only gives you 1 gem, so that's probably fine. Then Beetle Band, Nomi. I mean, nothing really interesting here, honestly. These are not being taken a lot. I mean, Scrapsmith portraits sometimes, right? If I have like the Quilboar that spawns 2 taunts, it's pretty good. Other than that, I don't really take these very often. Yeah, if you're taking this one, it kind of sucks, honestly. Well, so this is the problem, right? With lesser trinkets, almost all type trinkets are pretty bad. So you're generally looking for neutral trinkets. You're looking for something like Goblin Wallet to give you extra gold. You're looking for, I don't know, just anything that gives you some advantage. So that can be like token to evolve a minion. That can be souvenir stand, trip vouchers. There's a lot of neutral ones that, you know, are pretty happy taken. Whereas these type trinkets generally provide way too little advantage for, you know, essentially sacrificing a lesser trinket, especially because you don't know if 2 or 3 turns later you're still going to be in that type, so that's very often the problem. So if you take something like, oh, your spells cost health now, that basically means, hey, if you don't keep a rewinder on your board, you can never buy a spell again without taking damage. That's not great. So these are sort of the problems where they push you into the type too early. Turn 6 is not when you want to commit to your type. You want to commit to your type when you know which triples you have, right? Like, are you getting a Brand? Can you even play Murlocs? Are you getting a Tidus later on? Do you have a Drakari, right? All these things, you don't know that on turn 6. So that's a bit of the problem there, especially for higher level gameplay. It's much better to take just a good neutral trinket, get a little bit of a boost, and then later see what your triples are, see which high tier minions you roll in your shop, and then commit to a type. And then these trinkets are getting quite a bit of a buff. We are getting 2 gold less. So Headstone, I think, is one that pops out here, where this thing was awful at 3 gold because of what I said earlier. Kind of it pushes you into undead. Now, if you buy it for 1 gold and you have something like a caretaker on your board, sure, it's just some tempo. Maybe you don't play undead later, but at least it saved you a lot of health because your caretaker trades a lot better now. That's acceptable. At 3 gold, it's not really acceptable to buy something that's going to be useless in like a turn or 2. Maxwell sticker is an interesting one. I think there's a dynamic cost on this because some buddies are tier 1, some buddies are tier 6, so there's a very big difference in how good your buddy is. So for those really good high tier buddies, getting the cost reduced by 2 is quite significant because like I think I see this cost like 5 sometimes, where it's pretty rough to pay like 5 for your buddy, especially if you're still on tier 3, because then you can't level again. But now that it costs 2 less, that does help a lot. So looking forward to taking some powerful buddies with this. Then Defiler is getting double the buffs. So we're going from 2-2 to 4-4 for the Fathers in the Tavern, and then a 1 gold increase. That's fair. So I don't love this still, but again, if you are in a very specific situation where you have already some leanings towards demons, you know, basically same problem as before, pushes you into demons a bit too early. But you know, you can treat it as just tempo, and now that it's twice as good, you know, more tempo, so fine. Calligraphy going to Avenge 3 is huge. Like this, the problem for Quilboar very often is that in order for you to play Quilboar, your gems need to be bigger. And quite often you're in the situation where like, oh, I would like to go Quills, but my gems are still +0/+0. And it's going to take too long for me to buff the gems first. And then I'm going to die. I'm going to take too much damage. So Quilboar are tougher because they do require you to invest in them early on. The problem there is you don't know if you're going to hit the payoff. So this is why in high level gameplay you rarely see Quilboar. It's because people don't want to do that. They don't want to start gambling on a type and then they just pray that they hit the right type later on. It's like, well, I'm gonna buff my gems now and I really hope I get a shaman. You know, like 3 turns later, like, yeah, any minute now, Bob, gonna give me that Quilboar payoff. A lot of people play the game that way, and I don't blame them because, you know, it's fun. You take a bit of a gamble. You say like, hey, I want to play this type. I'm just going to try to hit it later. But if you want to really maximize your win rate, that's not the way to go. You know, you want to do neutral stuff in the beginning and then commit once you know what you actually have to work with. But I feel like Quilboar are a little bit of the exception just because they need gems to be big early. So you can play some Quilboar in the mid game and then like hope you get the payoff. But, you know, still not fully sold on it, but I have some memories of having fun with calligraphy. I think the exception is when you have this 2-drop that summons 2 taunts. So that is really good for calligraphy, and it also has immediate tempo because the Quilboar that you summon also get more health. So especially if you have a Piper plus calligraphy set, that's quite good for tempo too. So, you know, considerable. Double Crown actually gets nerfed, and I'm gonna be honest, I was really wrong about this one. Where, to be honest, you know, before it was, I don't know what the buff was. Was it like +2/+2, or did it cost a lot of gold? I don't know, but I was like, Jesus, why would anyone ever pick Double Crown? But the 2 things happened. One, we're in anomaly meta now, so we have way more resources. So quite often, actually, in anomaly meta, it's better to go for like a 0-cost trinket to just level and try to pop off with the anomaly. So let's say you're playing doubleheader, just want to get to tier 5 and you want to get 2 copies of a 5-drop, or like let's say you're Toki, you hero power, you get 2 6-drops. You don't want to spend a bunch of gold on trinkets, so 0-cost trinkets do get better. And there's a lot of payoff for spell power, right? You can get Queen's Guard, which is a very strong meta comp. You could play Ring Bearer, which is not necessarily meta, but very good tempo. It sets you up for back-to-back already. So there's quite some things that go in favor of Double Crown. Because in the beginning, I thought this was repeatable. But again, I was weaker. I think it might have been +2/+2 or whatever. But I looked at it as like, wow, you can only complete this one time. Why would anyone ever take it? And then I have to confess, you know, I've actually taken it quite a bit myself after they buffed it. So I can understand the nerf here. So I will admit that I did not see the potential of just the flat spell power buff one time. Scroll gets nerfed from 6 to... Oh, god damn it. Blizzard, why would you do this? Okay, from 6 to 7. And that is totally fair because this, in combination with postcard, is like infinite. Like, for real. I've played this twice. I've seen it been played a few times. You pretty much just go infinite because you play so many spells, especially if you have a Belinda on the board. All your spellcrafts trigger twice, the ones you target at least. So it just makes it gives you a Naga super fast, and then Postguard gives you another spell, and then that spell can be like the Dark Crest spell, which gives you a tier 1 Naga, which then procs the Postguard again. It's just craziness. All right, speaking of Postguard, also getting nerfed. So this scroll Postguard combo a little bit too good. It's gonna cost 1 more. Beatboxer, yeah, I mean, Beatboxer could cost 7 and people would probably still take it. Because it's just so good. Heart of the Forest getting nerfed is interesting. Yeah, spell power just being good, and anomalies giving you more ways to spend a lot of money probably, so a bit easier to go through your spells. Ring, I've done pretty well with myself. This has also been a sleeper pick, but ever since they made that tier 6 undead pirate that boosts the attack, it's quite good because now you have high damage minions with Divine Shield, was a good combo. 2 more gold on Powder Keg and Lava Lamp. Yeah, Lava Lamp's been a bit all over the place, but what's 4 elementals at one point? Then they nerfed it to 5, but made the cost 1. They're like, this is still kind of good. Let's put the cost back to 3. And then Powder Keg, especially also with Ravager, it's easy to have very high damage pirates, so this is actually quite a good trinket. And then we have some more buffs here. These are going to be cheaper. Sulfur Minter actually has done pretty okay for me, so slightly surprised seeing that being buffed, but it's 1 gold. It's not a big deal. The others I don't really care for, honestly. So, like the Titus portrait you take if you really need a Titus. You don't really care about the double health most of the time. And then everything else is pretty meh here. Then some more buffs here, but I mean, I also don't really care about these. Let's be honest. I don't take these. Like the Fairy Dragon scale, like whenever a dragon attacks, give it Divine Shield. Yeah, maybe sometimes. It's so unexciting, most of these trinkets. That's it. 2 gold less on these. So yeah, the Maxwell sticker being buffed, right? Golden Buddy, less impactful on turn 9, unless we're talking something like AFK Buddy, where you can just start buffing. A lot of the buddies are geared towards giving early game advantage with economy or some tempo, but you could maybe get like a golden Nathanos. That's a huge stat boost. So yeah, some heroes okay, most of them I wouldn't really bother. Zarina Portrait also just fell off. There's just too high cap to play that comp, and the Inventor Mex is way better. 3 gold less on big calligraphy. Like, all right, we're going in. This is the big Quilboar push. The people demand Quilboar. We must buff Quilboar. So yeah, big calligraphy on 1 gold. You know, if you already know you're playing Quilboar and you already have an Avenge setup, sure. Beetle Band goes from Avenge 6 to Avenge 7. So, god damn it. Blizzard, why would you do it? Okay, from 6 to 7. So I think they already removed Beetle Band as the option of a big trinket in the anomaly where you have double big trinkets, because then with Souvenir Stand you could go infinite beetles, which that happened at the very beginning of the season. We made a video about it. It was very, very stupid. It's just infinite. It's literally infinite. So 6 beetles spawn, 6 beetles die, 6 beetles spawn, 6 beetles die. So now they made it Avenge 7. So they probably re-enabled it in that anomaly. Otherwise, you know, why bother? They could also just nerf this for the Shimmermoth buff. They did buff Shimmermoth, so that is fair. But anyways, if you somehow get 3 of these now, it's not infinite. It's still really good because that's a lot of Avenge, which means you're getting a lot of beetles. But it will run out eventually because, you know, infinite is stupid. It's like, hey, how do I beat infinite beetles? You don't. All right, Baller Portrait just keeps getting nerfed, huh? I think it was 8, maybe even 7 at one point, but now we're at 9 and it's going to 10. So after you play 10 elementals, you get a temperature shift. So that's effectively 8 elementals, right? Because the 2 ballers you get from the portrait already pay for the next one. So you gotta play 8 different elementals, which is honestly something you're doing if you have multiple baller portraits, or if you're like Golden Brand and you're just, you know, you're a baller, you have a lot of cash, then yeah, sure. Other than that, I don't see how you really play 8 elementals easily. Booty Bay Baru gets buffed. Yeah, this is one of those last resorts 0 gold things. I guess I have a cleave. I need to win my next 2 rounds, otherwise I'm dead, so I'll just buff my cleave with this, and I just pray that I can get myself out of this with the anomaly or just a good board, because this falls off like crazy. But it's quite good tempo the turn or 2 you get it. It's you know, especially if you only have 1 pirate, you can really focus fire those buffs. The Filer Portrait going 15-15, so that's in line with the lesser one getting buffed. Yeah, I mean, you probably don't want this, but sometimes you have a fodder setup, you just don't have buffs for them yet, and then this could be okay. Again, not excited to take this. Innkeeper's Hearth is 30-30 now. Sure, I think that's fair. I very, very rarely take this. Essentially only take this if I really need a 6-drop and I'm desperate. I'm just like, okay, because it always feels bad that you have a greater trinket and then it's like, okay, you get 2 triple rewards basically, and that's it. It's like, it's a little underwhelming. So, but it costs 0. The minions are 30-30, so you have some tempo. And again, if I really just, like, let's say I just have like a Rylak and a Brand, I'm like, oh man, I just need a Queen's Guard, then maybe I'll take this. Again, other than that, not very excited. Death Touch Apple. After a friendly undead is reborn, give it reborn. It goes from 3 to 4. Now, I did see a really good Zorgo game where he had 3 of these. It's Zorgo that does like the crazy stuff. He also had like the infinite beetle with the 3 gold, 3 greater beetle trinkets, but that felt very unfair. he got 9 extra reborns. So yeah, I mean, minor nerf here, but okay, I guess it's not really gonna stop that. So if you still have a really good board for it, you're still gonna take it. And with that, we have our likely to be last patch of the season. As always, I read all the comments on these videos. I try to reply to them. So please, if there's anything that stood out, stuff you disagreed with, things I missed, or just in general stuff you want to share, just throw it in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.